If Americans could visit with the president in the Oval Office, what would they tell him to do about the situation in Iraq? If you could have 15 minutes with President George W. Bush, what would you advise him to do about Iraq? That's exactly the question we asked Americans back in 2005, and we have just re-asked it again. Let's look at the answers. Number one response from the American public, given by about 4 out of 10, remove the troops, bring them home. Below that, 12% of Americans say come up with a well-thought-out exit strategy. Then, you're doing a good job. Continue with what you're doing. Finish what was started. Be more aggressive. And finally, fifth on the list, admit to your past mistakes in Iraq and apologize. We can compare these responses to what we found back in 2005. One place we found a big difference was the percent of Americans who said, finish what you've started and be more aggressive. 23% of Americans said that's what they would tell the president back in 2005. That has dropped all the way down to 11% today. There are predictable differences by political orientation in what would be said to the president. These are very, very illuminating. Pay close attention. Democrats across the country, fairly overwhelmingly, 6 out of 10 roughly, say the first thing they would say to the president, get the troops out and come back. Second, they would say develop a well-thought-out exit strategy. And third on the list for Democrats, apologize for your mistakes in Iraq. What about Republicans? What would they say to their president? He is, after all, a Republican. Well, 24% say you're doing a good job. Continue with what you're doing. 21% of Republicans, however, this is 1 out of 5, say they would too, like the Democrats, tell the president, get the troops out of Iraq. That's followed by 17% who say finish what you've started and be more aggressive in Iraq. Bottom line here, and let me reiterate, this is important. If the American public had the chance to talk to their elected leader in the White House, George W. Bush, about Iraq, here's the top 5 things that would be said to the president. 1, a large number of Americans would say to the president, remove the troops fairly quickly from Iraq, bring them home. 2, come up with an exit strategy for getting the troops out. 3, you're doing a good job, Mr. President. 4, finish what you've started and be more aggressive. And 5, apologize for Iraq. Coming up in the Daily Briefing, we'll look at Americans' views on the state of morality in the U.S. today. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Editor-in-Chief of the Gallup poll with Democracy on Demand. Take the Daily Briefing with you. Search for Gallup at the iTunes Music Store.